Thanks so much for hosting this sprint on this really important topic. The Zest team comprises Zest and 3 banks. We have Chase Sorick from First National Bank of Omaha, Aaron Blankenstein from WebBank, Danielle McCullion from Citizens Bank, and from Zest, we have our CTO, Jay Budzik, Sean Kampar, head of data science, Casey Matthews, a superstar data scientist on the team, and me, Teddy Flo, a mere lawyer. During this sprint, we were laser focused on using better math to improve the accuracy of the reasons provided to consumers and the ability to use accurate reasons to reduce disparate impact in consumer lending. With that, I'll turn the presentation over to Jay Budzik, who will walk you through the problem and the math behind our solution. Thanks, Jay.
Thanks, Teddy. So we all know that NOAAs can sometimes be inaccurate. I know I just applied for a mortgage refi, and I got one adverse action notice that said that I had too few new accounts, and another adverse action notice that said that I had too many new accounts. And so I couldn't understand how these two things could both be true. Fortunately for me, I was approved, but if I was a consumer who wanted to know what to do to improve their standing with these various bureaus, I would be left quite confused. And that problem has the potential only to get much worse as we introduce machine learning underwriting models. Machine learning models are much better at predicting defaults and the ability for a consumer to repay, but you need to use a rigorous approach to identify the adverse action reason codes. The methods that worked for linear models or simpler models just don't work on machine learning models. And this is so important for consumers who are trying to understand how to get approved, but it's also important for policymakers and consumer advocacy groups who are using this data to analyze the patterns of denial for the reasons that protected classes are being denied more frequently. And so we really think that's an important use of adverse action notices. And that's just another reason why it's so important that we get them right. So there are sort of 3 methods that we've seen in use around in our travels. The first one's called Drop One, and what it does is it takes an applicant's score or it takes a credit application, and for each variable in that application, it substitutes missing for each one, and it notes the difference in score. Okay, and the variable who was replaced with missing that results in the biggest difference in score must be the most important reason, and so for the change in score, and so that's used as the reason that's provided to the consumer. Another method that we've seen is that they take each attribute, and instead of replacing it with missing, they replace it with the median value for that attribute. And they say, well, if the score changes a lot when I replace the variable with the median value, then that must be the most important reason. And so they send that to the consumer. Both of these methods will show in this analysis that we did during the week. Really, they provide the wrong answer almost always when you use them on a machine learning model. They might work fine on a linear model, but for a machine learning model, they just don't cut it. And so what we've done is compared those 2 more common methods that are based in sort of intuitive math that isn't necessarily rigorously grounded with a more rigorous method based on Shapley. So I'm going to turn it over to Sean, who may or may not be having technical troubles right now.
Can you hear me, Jay?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Great. So just to ask our GC Teddy Flo, but talking about rigorous mathematical techniques can be a lot, I believe, for most normal people. So let's talk about basketball. Okay, so it's 1995. Cell phones were only used for calls, and the internet sounded like a fax machine. And also, you're the GM of the Chicago Bulls. You need to figure out how to pay your all-stars. You need to write a big fat check to Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, but how much? You know they're better because of each other and everyone around them. In other words, they're highly interactive, and they work in very nonlinear ways, right? And so thankfully, about 70 years ago, game theorists solved this exact problem known as collaborative games, where you have these actors, in this case athletes, working together to produce an outcome. And so moving from basketball to machine learning, much like the players on a team who work together to achieve a winning score, the features in a model interact to generate a credit score, right? And so, as Jay said, we really believe that these rigorous methods that have decades, that have been tried and tested, should be used when explaining modern machine learning models. And the following slide gives some praise to many of those mathematicians that were rather influential in developing that super powerful math.
Okay, hello everyone. So we wanted to compare some traditional methods like drop one and impute median to rigorous mathematical methods, like what we do in-house at Zest AI. So we're demonstrating like what really matters to get it right, to get the right reason codes really matters. So first we built a machine learning underwriting model. Then we used drop one, impute median, and rigorous methods or rigorous math to produce the adverse action reasons. And then we evaluated those reasons that would be provided to consumers. And we found that more accurate reason codes can really help lenders, consumers, and regulators make consumer lending more inclusive. And that they're a lot more helpful and that the wrong reasons are really not helpful at all. Going to the next slide. So we compared three models or methods to see their ability to generate accurate denial reason codes from a machine learning model. This was on a set of 1,000 consumers from a mid-sized auto lender, and we were able to see that the impute median and the drop one method were most always wrong. The drop one method was reporting the wrong reason 98% of the time. The impute median never got the top reason right. And we've seen this analyzing millions of consumer applications. And in this table, you can see that the top reported reasons for denial, what they are and how they're distributed across the different methods. And you can see that it's like a lot with credit limit and that being too low. Yeah, we can go to the next slide. So not revealing the right reasons can impact the customer negatively or the consumer negatively. Using the wrong method leads to lenders making the wrong conclusions about protected applicants. And we can see the top 3 denial reasons don't really overlap. If you're looking at the rigorous method that's getting it right, you're not seeing that across the traditional methods. And the more accurate reasons, they're failing to show up there. It's a problem because lenders and regulators are using these denial reasons to find more opportunities to improve approval rates for protected class borrowers. So using the wrong method to generate the denial reasons definitely would lead to the lender making the wrong conclusions about the higher African American denial rate. And this specifically are the reasons for African Americans to be denied in our study. We can go to the next slide to look at a specific example. So here we have an applicant, let's call him Rolf. He's looking for a car to get him back and forth from work. It's a $25,000 Honda. And he goes to the dealership, applies, is denied, and he's told that it's the vehicle characteristics. So what he gets from that is like maybe he should get a cheaper car, but that's just using those traditional methods. What really is happening is that he doesn't, he has to reduce the revolving credit that he has. So it's really not telling him the right information, but using a mathematically rigorous method for a machine learning model, he would really be able to understand that he needs to reduce credit usage because his revolving account balances are too high. And these bad reason codes really impact real people and make it impossible for consumers to improve their credit. So Teddy, do you want to take this slide?
Thank you, Casey. And so what we've been able to show this week and in the millions of consumer applications that we've analyzed over the years, that rigorous math allows us to do three really important things. Mitigate disparate impact by allowing lenders to identify reason codes that apply particularly to protected classes. One way they might do that is to use a special purpose credit program. They might be able to use accurate reason codes to modify their lending policies to increase approval rates. And overall, it improves consumer experience because applicants will receive reason codes that are more helpful and allow them to get better credit opportunities in the future.